The only true joy on earth is to escape from the prison of our own false self and enter by love into union with the life who dwells and sings within the essence of every creature and in the core of our own souls. In his love we possess all things and enjoy fruition of them, finding him in them all. And thus we go about the world. Everything we meet and everything we see and hear and touch, far from defiling, purifies us and plants in us something more of contemplation and of heaven. Short of this perfection, created things do not bring us joy, but pain. Until we love God perfectly, everything in the world will be able to hurt us. And the greatest misfortune is to be dead to the pain they inflict on us, and not to realize what it is. For until we love God perfectly, his world is full of contradiction. The things that he has created attract us to him, and yet keep us away from him. They draw us on and they stop us dead. We find him in them to some extent, and then we don't find him in them at all. Just when we think we have discovered some joy in them, the joy turns into sorrow. And just when they are beginning to please us, the pleasure turns into pain. In all created things, we, who do not yet perfectly love God, can find something that reflects the fulfillment of heaven and something that reflects the anguish of hell. We find something of the joy of blessedness and something of the pain of loss, which is damnation. The fulfillment we find in creatures belongs to the reality of the created being, a reality that is from God and belongs to God and reflects God. The anguish we find in them belongs to the disorder of our desire, which looks for a greater reality in the object of our desire than is actually there, a greater fulfillment than any created thing is capable of giving. Instead of worshiping God through his creation, we are always trying to worship ourselves by means of creatures. But to worship our false selves is to worship nothing. And the worship of nothing is hell. The false self must not be identified with the body. The body is neither evil nor unreal. It has a reality that is given it by God, and this reality is therefore holy. Hence we say rightly, though symbolically, that the body is the temple of God, meaning that his truth, his perfect reality, is enshrined there in the mystery of our own being. Let no one, then, dare to hate or to despise the body that has been entrusted to him by God, and let no one dare to misuse this body. Let him not desecrate his own natural unity by dividing himself, soul against body, as if the soul were good and the body evil. Soul and body together subsist in the reality of the hidden inner person. If the two are separated from one another, there is no longer a person. There is no longer a living, subsisting reality made in the image and likeness of God. The marriage of body and soul in one person is one of the things that makes man the image of God. And what God has joined, no man can separate without danger to his sanity. It is equally false to treat the soul as if it were the whole self, and the body as if it were the whole self. Those who make the first mistake fall into the sin of angelism. Those who make the second live below the level assigned by God to human nature. There are many respectable and even conventionally moral people for whom there is no other reality in life than their body and its relationship with things. They have reduced themselves to a life lived within the limits of their five senses. Their self is consequently an illusion based on sense experience and nothing else. For these, the body becomes a source of falsity and deception. But that is not the body's fault. It is the fault of the person himself, who consents to the illusion, who finds security in self-deception, and will not answer the secret voice of God calling him to take a risk and venture by faith outside the reassuring and protected limits of his five senses.